The X-Men movie franchise has spanned 20 years and has introduced us to some of the best comic book movies ever made. Whilst some of these movies have failed to live up to expectations, I do feel that the franchise in general has been very good. Though for me, one film stands out as not just the best X-Men movie, but one of the best comic book movies of all time. That is Logan. Since 2008, with the release of Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight, many films in the comic book genre aimed for a darker, grittier world. Now that doesn't always work for some comic book movies, like in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I do feel as a whole, each comic book movie has tried to borrow some of the darkness that was shown in The Dark Knight. Well, one movie in the X-Men franchise did this, and certainly delivered. I have loved Hugh Jackman's portrayal as Wolverine in the X-Men franchise, and he has seemingly carried all the films that he has appeared in. After X-Men Origins Wolverine and The Wolverine, Jackman returned to the ensemble of X-Men in Days of Future Past, and then went on to have a brief cameo in X-Men Apocalypse. But it was his final portrayal of the character in Logan where Jackman really shines. In a time where the Marvel Cinematic Universe was killing it, I feel it would have been easier for the final Wolverine film to embrace the colourful comics and portray the character in his yellow spandex costume, fighting a major threat. They went for a much darker and more serious tone to end the Wolverine story. Before the film was released, fans had been made aware that Logan, which at the time was untitled, would follow, or at least borrow from Mark Millar's Old Man Logan comic. I haven't read this comic, but I'm aware of the route the story takes. This would have been an interesting thing to do to the Wolverine character. I imagine we would see Jackman in his usual mutton chops and pointy hair, but it would be grey. The character would be aged up to look far more decrepit. The director of Logan, James Mangold, released this picture of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine in the film, and I was blown away. The character looked so different. Fully bearded and missing his pointy hairstyle, scars on his face, I was intrigued. This appeared to be a far cry from what I expected, and along with the film receiving an R rating, my hopes were high, and it did not disappoint. Logan's opening scene, to me, is perfect, not only because it's so different from what we got before in the X-Men franchise, but because this opening scene sets the tone for the whole movie. Anyone watching this scene will know immediately after it has concluded that this isn't your typical X-Men movie. Rather than a voiceover from Charles Xavier and some funky intro opening credits featuring Cerebro, we get something far simpler. The cast and title are white font over black, no epic music or triumphant score, but just the diegetic music of the Thieves radio blasting Spanish pop music.
Right there, nobody home. Where your party boy? Turn down the radio. What? This shit
We are introduced to Logan, not in heroic fashion, but in almost a humiliating one. Logan is asleep in the back of his limousine, which he drives incognito to help make money to support himself and an aging Xavier. The character is exhausted and just needs rest. He enters the film not as a typical hero. He stumbles out of the car and confronts the thieves, but doesn't go straight into his typical tough guy persona. Logan is weary, tired. He doesn't want to fight anymore. He doesn't want to draw attention to himself. His confrontation of the thieves is low energy. He does his best to reason with them before taking a shotgun blast to the chest.
You know, this is the lease. No one's gonna pay to ride. Pendejo.
Cabrón. Ándale.
Logan falls to the ground as if he had been killed, and the thieves continue to strip his car. The typical Logan would have taken the blast to the chest before fighting these bad guys, but he doesn't, not yet anyway. He lies on the ground and takes several seconds to recover, those robbing him assuming that he is dead.
Ándale, pues.
Guys, seriously, you don't want to do this.
Logan gets up but doesn't rage out at what has just happened. Stumbling to his feet, he gets the thieves' attention, to which they are surprised that he is still alive. Logan draws his claws to fight, ready to dispatch his foes, but he hesitates when one of the claws fails to draw out.
Take them out.
The thieves then engage in combat against Logan, and to our surprise, they wreck him. Logan takes a massive beating. He seems powerless to defend himself. This isn't your typical fantasy violence that you would traditionally see in a comic book movie. This is brutal. Logan takes a beating that could easily kill any other man. He is outnumbered. Whilst he is down, his foes are about to blow his head off with a shotgun, and then we get to see the iconic Berserker rage. Logan brutalizes his foes, chopping off limbs, slashing their faces, and stabbing them multiple times. We see the pain in his face. We see the rage. This is not what we have seen from Wolverine in the other movies. It's bloody, gory, and so brutal. When I first saw this in the cinema, my jaw dropped. This was a Wolverine I had wanted to see for a long time. This scene serves a purpose to differentiating itself from the other X-Men movies, and in a way, I see this film as a standalone movie for the character. It is no coincidence that the movie is titled Logan and not something with Wolverine in the title. This film is about a character, a human being, who use their name, not their X-Men code name. This film is a character piece about a character dealing with grief, pain, and even suicide. This isn't just something lifted from the comic books, but this is a story about a man. The opening scene is just a preview of what we have to come for the rest of the movie, but this is certainly my favourite scene. I love the film Logan so much, not just as a comic book movie, but as a movie in general. There are so many great scenes from Logan that I could have picked to talk about, but for me, this is the perfect opening to a movie that deals with a very mature subject matter, whilst being a bittersweet goodbye to a character I've grown up with since I saw X-Men on VHS in the year 2000. So that was my One X-Cellent Scene. Thanks for watching this video. Please give it a like, drop a comment letting me know your favourite scene from Logan, or any other of the X-Men movies for that matter. Please subscribe and click the bell icon to stay up to date with my latest videos. Thanks for tuning in.
Wolverine. I knew it was you.
Fuck.
Please! I'm in trouble! You're the only one that could help!